Hey bro, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
This
Not
is
bad.
Matthew, Christian. Is it Christian or Christian? What's the...
Christian is good.
Christian is good.
Okay, righto.
Sunny Ibiza. Looks pretty good.
Jeez, it does look nice, mate. Is it warm over there? Warm as it is here?
No, wonderful, wonderful. How's about you? Where are you guys? Where are you right now?
Cannes.
Wow, that's amazing. That makes me curious. To be honest, I didn't make any research before the chat now, so that
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have come on if you did.
Would you want to? Do you just want to start?
Yeah, I mean, you can ask us. You can ask us questions too. I mean,
you can ask me questions, whatever. But we'll just get it started. So, because that's nice, actually. It's cool.
okay.
Let's go.
Let's see if I can get it right this week. So this week we are privileged to be joined by former Bayern, Munich and La Liga defender, German footballer Christian Lell, a man who went toe-to-toe with Europe's elite. But this isn't just a story about sports. Christian has lifted trophies and stared down 80,000 strong crowds, but it's what happened after the final whistle that really matters here. We talk about the pressure cooker of pro football, life after the final whistle, and how personal tragedy, losing his sister to cystic fibrosis, led him to start the Christian Lell Foundation and a life built on healing, purpose and presence. Today, Christian's not just a father, speaker and entrepreneur. He's a man grounded in silence, self-awareness and a belief that we are more than our achievements. From the noise off the pitch to the stillness of the self, this one's about identity, rebirth and learning to live with intention. So tune in. It's a conversation full of soul, grit, and the good kind of uncomfortable, just how we like it. Christian Lell, welcome to the brink.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very happy to be.
Oh, that's good. Hey, mate, can I just say you're getting so good at these introductions.
I think I made a couple of little
Absolutely.
slip-ups.
Sounds
That
very
was-
professional.
Yeah, that was very professional. Hey, Christian, professional footballer. It's kind of every boy's dream, really. I remember when I was growing up in New Zealand, I wanted to be a soccer player, but our main sport was rugby. So, did you always want to be a professional soccer player, or did it just fell that way?
Well, yes. I mean, let's go back when started the journey. And the journey of professional soccer player started literally when I was 5 or 6, 7 years old. Right, my parents brought me to the pitch. But I have to say, it's not that in my family they are like very sporty or there's a sports background. So my family just brought me to a pitch. I saw it, and somehow I liked it. And and that it happened naturally. There was nothing who pushed it there. Or it wasn't like really ever my biggest dream from the very beginning. But it happened slowly, with the age of 7, 8, 9, and then I slipped into.
Yeah, but you cracked it. Like the German league is one of the best leagues in the world, obviously. And did you play for Germany?
Let's say that I want to say something a little bit more from the beginning, because to become a soccer player, obviously, and I think you have also a little bit of a sports background on the rugby. You need a really big willpower in order to achieve a certain level of success and earning you money throughout the professional playing soccer. So the thing is, my childhood wasn't like, let's say, not really perfect. And that's why I'm saying my parents brought me to the pitch when I was 6, 7, 8. And you ask me, have you ever wanted already getting a soccer player? I wouldn't say it was like that, to be honest. But in fact, that my childhood was a bit chaotic. I think the soccer was the North Stars in my life. It was that possibility I saw that I could escape my cows at home.
Okay.
So then, of course, with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, when you slowly understand, okay, I have a little bit talent, and I get attention from the trainers, from my friends on the pitch. You build up a little self-esteem what you can't find at home, and then you slowly, obviously, when you put in things and they make fun, you dive in deeper. So that's a little bit the background where I come from, so that people understand maybe, okay, how you become a soccer player. Was the reason for. I never played for Germany at all. I was short before. I played all the youth teams for Germany, and then I make a little story now, so that I think it fits very well in that moment. When I had my first breakthrough as a professional soccer player at Bayern Munich, the manager came to me. Is Uli Hoeneß, is a very big guy in Germany. He built up Bayern Munich over 30, 40 years. So he's very well known. And he said to me, Christian, it was one night before a game, for Bundesliga game, I don't remember exactly. But he said, Christian, you know what? The national trainer called me and he wants to invite you for your first match with the national team. I said, okay, that's pretty cool, nice. So I was kind of happy, and you said something at the beginning of your story with prison, meditation, that sounded to me a little bit that you had, let's say, an impulsive life, a roller coaster life with lots of emotions and experiences you made in the past. So what happened then, I was around beginning of 20s when I got the information that I going to get invited to the national team, right? But as my foundation, as I explained at the beginning, as a child, wasn't really solid, let's say. Yeah, it was based on chaotic, it was based on, no emotional maturity. It was pretty much always in a survival mode. Now you can understand, now you can imagine.
Can you go into that a little bit at all, Christian? Just to, paint a little bit of a picture. Was it with regards to the family home?
Yeah, well, my parents, let's say they could have done it better. What they did in our childhood, right? They were. I mean, now I'm gonna see it from a complete different angle, right? With 40 years, I can look back and say, right, they made the best they could do in their possibility way. But I stepped out, and that was a lot of work, right? I stepped out of my victim zone, rather than judging them for what they did, towards they did the best what they did. Even me, I did the best what I knew throughout my life, and I would look back and. Now when I look all the things I did, I would say, Christian, I think you don't miss anything. Yeah. Like really any bad thing what you can imagine, what a 20 years old, a teenager, then later, even in my 30s, can do. I think I did it. Yeah. Not just bad. Also, there were lots of good things we can later on speak about. Yeah. But back to your question, David, it was like they, so. It's I need to find the right words, as it is still my parents. So they could have done it a bit better in a way of caring, in a way of giving values. Saying what is right, what is not right in life, and that was missed. They both had also a hard time with alcohol, with violence, with abusing. Then also don't forget my sister got born with that illness, and. So there was a lots of cows around all day long, let's say. And and throughout that basement, that's what I want to say, throughout that basement as a child, you can imagine this foundation within was very fragile. It was very impulsive. It was unsecure, of course. But then on the other side, and that's why now I come back to the story I told when I shortly was before invited to get to the national team. But on the other side, in my case, I got the talent of playing soccer, okay. So I got successful in a way. Yeah, successful. Later on, we can speak about what is successful, right? We have to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the society way, let's say in the society way right now, successful in a way of money, fame, in your 20s, parties, cars, houses, watches, all these materialistic things, I become so-called very early successful. But on the other side, again, I remember this foundation within was very, very impulsive. So those two things together, they brought me over and over in situations, let's say, what was really not comfortable for me. So I didn't behave as a soccer player should behave. I bought a Ferrari as an example. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, just to give you a degree of how unconscious I was living, right? I bought a Ferrari at 20s, drove with this Ferrari to this big club and to the first team, was training with these guys. They were like playing over 10 years on the top, and I'm coming with 20 with a big Ferrari there. You know, just as a little example, there's so much. If you want. So, and
but
then,
you had, Christian, you had no guidance, right? So it was just pretty much you. I say, I take it that your father and your mother they really weren't in your life, so you had no elders or somebody that was maturer than you to show you and guide you, right? So, which is very similar to how I was. So that explains why the decisions you made as a young man, buying the Ferrari. Like when I went to my first club, it wasn't a Ferrari, but it was a drop top. I think it was a Ford Capri. But anyway, same thing, you know, like, and I just turned up in this Ford Capri and everybody else had Holdens and shit, and it was a new car, and they're like, what? And I hadn't started. So the same sort of, it sounds like the same sort of journey, which is really interesting. But carry on. So what happened with the German coach when you were, you know, you were asked to play or select? You were going to finish that story.
Yeah, you said something interesting. You said I had no one on my side who guided me, and you had the same. I wouldn't agree, because they were there, but I wasn't aware. I was such an egocentric way of living that I said, what I'm doing is completely right. Why should I listen left or right?
Okay.
I thought, look where I've been now. So what do you want to tell me? So the degree of awareness of my consciousness and my ego. Later on, I want to speak with you guys about the ego. So back to your story. Because I make so many mistakes then in my 20s, it wasn't even possible that the national trainer invited me as I was public, drive drunken, had girls, made party, and then playing on the pitch. It wasn't possible to invite me in the national team. And that's a pretty, that's a good example for if you're not living aware, and when you're living an eccentric way of living, that you're gonna miss so many chances in that way, because you're fighting literally against yourself every day in, day out. And you don't understand it because you don't reflect. You're not starting to reflect, because on the other side, then you're successful. So why would you reflect? You're doing everything right.
It sounds, Christian, if I might interrupt, it sounds like you sort of built an identity in the earlier part of your life based on external validation, whether it be from a coach helping you build self-esteem by giving you positive feedback, telling you you're good, buying Ferraris, partying, girls, all that sort of thing. Is that what sort of defined you at that time? What was, I guess, people's perception of you?
Yeah, absolutely, and that was not the people's perception of me. It was literally, that was my personality. And I want to shift now to the ego, because I think it's a very good moment to speak about the ego, right? Because all the misery, what happened in my past and in many life paths out there, with Matthew, maybe with you the same, David, you for sure, you also have experiences. If you would ask me, and it's just my experience, what I have in my life, it's all based on the ego. And lots of people would sign you, the ego, and the ego is existing. But the difference is, not everybody can explain what is really the ego. Most of them say, it's ego-driven, his ego is so big, that's why. But what is the ego at the end, David? And you said it perfectly in my eyes. The ego is literally just the identification with something external. There are two layers behind. One is I am a soccer player. I have money. I am Christian. I'm 20, already so successful. Second layer, I have. I have fame, I have this money, I have this watch, I have this car, I have this status, I have this. Or in the other way around, I'm not worthy, I'm a victim. So at the end, it's exactly just an identification with the external life.
And you know what? It's so funny you say that, because I'm a soccer player. Because for many years, how I identified with myself was, I'm Matthew Ridge, I play for Manly. That's what used to go through my head, right? I wasn't partying and I wasn't doing that sort of stuff. I was married, and so I didn't drink or anything like that. But I definitely had, that was my identity. My identity was based around my football, my rugby league, all that sort of stuff. That's how that was me. And I can remember thinking that way for a long time, you know. And when I got to 30, I was like, shit, I'm not Matthew Ridge Manley anymore. Who the fuck am I? Right? So I didn't like we didn't get paid like you guys, nothing like it. You guys would have got what we got paid in a year, you would have got paid in a week. So, you know, but we still led a very comfortable lifestyle and all that sort of stuff. But
it doesn't matter. Sorry to interrupt you, Matthew.
No, you can.
It doesn't matter how much money you earn. It doesn't matter which status you have. What really matters, and that's the key, I would say, it's the degree of attachment to it.
Oh,
you
100%.
100K per week,
Yeah.
and you have absolutely no attachment to it, and you live a liberation, freedom life, or you earn 10,000. I mean, I just say numbers.
Yeah.
10,000 per week, and you're so touched on it that once it's gone, you just break in 1,000 pieces. So the degree of attachment towards the external thing in our life makes the misery. But please go ahead. Very interesting.
No, but everything you're saying, you're like, it's funny. Like, I don't know, how old were you when you had, I guess, an epiphany, or when you came to start to think about the things that you're talking about now that you're obviously so well versed with, because, you know, it's who you are and that sort of thing. Because when I finished playing footy, I went into business, and I got into a bit of trouble business-wise. I got sucked in by a guy who said I'm all about integrity. Anyway, things were getting pretty heavy. And as things were getting heavier, I started thinking about all the things in my life, and I started reading books, and I started reading, you know, books about spirituality and all that sort of stuff. So that was my first sort of angle into it, right? And it started about my 30s. And that's when I started to become conscious. And then, you know, obviously you slip back into your old ways, because the old habits are hard to break, right? And so then I found partying and drugs and all that sort of bullshit. But I always had that underlying feeling of, you know, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I am. So at what age did you start to feel like, okay, hey, I'm something different to other, you know, I'm different to this external stuff that I'm associating my beliefs to?
It was always in my life, consistently. But as you said, I can confirm, the inner voice was always there. Like the ego was let's say it in that way. The ego was always on the driver's seat till my 40th birthday. And
Your
when I said
40th?
Till my 40th birthday, the ego was on the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Of course, the heart was always whispering, hey, I'm here, don't forget me. You know, like, you know, deep down, you said, when you sit there and you enjoy nature and you're in this, somehow in the spin of the ego, the heart is there, it's never gone completely.
Yeah.
It took me 40 years in my life to really take the call. And I mean, there are many words for it. It's the awakening, it's the spiritual, it's the call, however it is. However you want to name it, at the end it's the same what you're saying. There's just only one truth, it's the spirituality.
Yeah.
Once you understand that you have an ego,
Yeah.
you understand what the ego is. And the ego makes you successful. I don't want to say the ego is totally bad and negative, not at all.
No.
Always it depends, and that's why I'm saying to my people, it always depends where the ego is sitting. When it's sitting on the driver's seat, you're lost.
Yeah.
You can fly so high you can get successful because it's driving you, it's clever, it's putting you the next carrot in front, it's pushing you, it's motivating you. But on the long run, you will never get like this degree of liberation and peace, because it's a short-term thing. You compare yourself anytime, you're hunting for, so you never get peace and stillness. So we need the ego, but the ego, thank you ego, you're here. I know what you are, your attachment and all these things we spoke before, and now I put you on the driver's seat. Or even better, put it in the back row.
In the back seat.
But keep it there. Because the moment will come when you are, let's say, so healed or so aware of your consciousness. Also, there are many connected to your higher self, universe, God, all that words. This moment will come that you're so aware, and then you can work with the ego together. But this is exactly the healing. This is where most of us are not really willed to, because or they're so successful, and then why would you reflect yourself? Why would you say to yourself, that situation wasn't really great, what I did, I say sorry to that person? You wouldn't do that. You would just say, fuck it, next one, I have this power, and I would never get in reflection. Or the other way around, I don't know which is worse. I think both is not nice. You're in the victim zone, as also we spoke at the beginning. You say, I'm not worthy, why that always happened to me, and this and that. So when you're in that state, and then it's the ego in the driver's seat, you cannot get liberation. It's literally just impossible. And yeah, David, please.
No, I was going to say, it sounds like the seeds of, I guess, internal conflict were probably always there, and maybe they are for all of us. But I imagine with a career or profession in a sport like football, which has got, you know, a short-term shelf life in terms of the age of players, things like that, the ego must be under threat all the time with regards to fear of end of career, fear of injury, fear of losing relevance, demotion, public scrutiny, all those sorts of things, which, and you may want to speak to it, you know, eventually happen to you. And what does that look like when all the external forms of validation are stripped away? What happens to the ego or the self when the identity is remolded or forced or broken?
Yeah, there are two ways. Or you, as I said, or you go back in the victim zone and say, oh, everything happens against me and now I'm, you know, I don't know what to do. Or you just hunt the next business. And like I did, I stopped playing soccer in my 30s, when I was 30. And I straightly go in as an entrepreneur on the real estate sector pretty quick. And you're just hunting the next carrot. So you're numbing yourself with just another external subject. It can be a deal, can be a business, can be a sport. It doesn't matter. So the reflection starts, in my eyes, just with two possible things. One is, or you get broken for whatever. You lose a person, you lose your business, you get bankrupt, you go in prison. You're on the darkest side of your life, where you get to the point that you say, you know what? Take it all. I give it all to you. I put the trust in your hands. I have literally no idea what to do anymore. Take it. That can be a big breakthrough. That could be a very dark moment, yes, but that can be the breakthrough. Or the other way around. If you're facing a North Star, if you see a vision, something what inspires you so much that you're willed to change your personality and your values in order to achieve there. But that requires a little bit, a certain degree of dimension of your consciousness and awareness already of the consciousness. So depend where are you, or you break and it's a dark moment where you maybe can switch on again the heart, or it's something what inspires you most. In between, I didn't met anyone yet who is in between and then all of a sudden says, I got aware and I decide myself for conscious way of living. I didn't meet them. This is then always like a leaf what is falling from the tree, falls left a little bit, is okay, and then one day you die.
Here's the thing, Christian. Like it's so nice to talk to you because you're on the sort of definitely on the same plane as what David and I are. But why does it take? Like it took you till you were 40. It took me till like I'm 57 now, and I'm definitely on. You know, like, and I have been for a number of years, but I was still smashing and enjoying myself and partying really hard and, you know, doing all that stuff till I kicked everything into touch. But why does it take us so long to become conscious, and why are we not educating our children and teaching our children and informing our children and informing our peers and the people around us without being preaching, or, you know, because there's nothing worse than being preached at. But I mean, it's for me, I've been successful, you've been successful, but the way I live now is definitely the way to go, because you don't have, for me, I'm not jealous of anything, I'm not envious of anybody. I look at things, I can see nature, I appreciate the moment, I can go for a walk and be lost in the presence. I'm not like projecting myself into the future or the past. I still have moments where I do that all the time, we all do that, but I'm aware of doing that. How do we teach people or encourage people to change, that there is a better way of living? You know, like we're not chasing the dollar, we're not chasing society's form of success. I mean, I understand we all have to have a house, we all have to have a roof over our head, we all have to be able to buy food. I get all that stuff. It's nice to be super rich or whatever, I don't know. I'd just rather be super grounded and super conscious.
But also, what was it? An internal breakdown for you, Christian, or was it seeing a goal, a North Star, and going for it? I mean, I think you're probably going to say the internal breakdown, losing somebody, which brings me to your sister too. But yeah, to Matthew's point, what was it that drew you away from all of those things to being on the path that you, Matthew, and I are trying to stick to?
Yeah, Matthew asked, how can we get awakened as a collective? You know,
Yeah.
What Matthew's question and yours was then, what was my drop of water, what makes me then at the end awaken, let's say. Well, Matthew, I think, I feel that over so long we just lived an egocentric way as a collective.
Yep.
So the answer could be so easy, because all of us who really woke up and got remembered, because we don't have to change anything in life, because we are already perfect. And when I'm saying speaking, I mean from the heart. There's nothing to change. The personality we have to change, and we can change. That's the good thing. But technically we have nothing to change. We need to remember as much people as possible what we really are, because this is so easy then. But the system, of course, and it will take a while to inspire others. How can we inspire others?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Heal ourselves. You can't inspire someone else if you really not did your healing on the fullest. And that means shadow work, Matthew, you know it. That means literally go into silence. That means doing exactly what you don't did all your life along. Go in silence. Go in loneliness. Go in reflection. Don't swipe it away. Just look at it. Yeah. How did I behave on my last breakup, as an example?
Yeah.
Also, I'm the victim. Did I give her all the best, or him, however, for her life, or was I in a revenge mode? Like, all these details go into, right? You daily, from moment to moment, how aware I am, what I'm thinking. Is this aligned with what I want to do and what is my vision? All these things. And here's exactly the thing. You know it as a professional athlete. The detail of really growing and blooming, exactly there. Is my intention what I'm setting? Is my intention, first of all, is it from the heart, from the ego? This is already very important to know. It should be from the heart. So, but is my intention I set, is this really aligned with my thoughts, my unaware thoughts, my subconscious thoughts, and the things I'm speaking? And here's already starting to bring this balance really in alignment. Subconsciously, and this is work over time, because you collected so many layers over your life. So that's the work. That's the work. Make your subconscious thoughts so conscious that they get aligned with what you're saying, and that have to be aligned with what is your tension. This is what
you do, what you say, and what you do.
And this is exactly where most of the people, let's be honest, I can say, I can sing a song about my own life. I'm saying, Christian, you got awarded as the best client after the season in Ibiza for a couple of years. Are you proud of it? No, because deeply inside I know it's totally bullshit. But that's the reflection. That's the reflection to outside. How do you get seen? You can do things, and inside you're thinking in another way. So it's not right. So first of all, make your own healing and bring your, and that's work. Get your ass up and make your work. Go in silence. Make your meditations. Don't gossip. Reflect yourself. Do you gossip? Are you revenge when you get offended from someone? Are you reacting if someone is attacking you? Are you reacting, or can you stay silent? All these things, Matthew, but I'm telling you, all the people would now sign it. Everybody would sign, let the people speak. They are gossiping. I'm not gossiping. The people who are saying that are the first who are reacting if they're going to hear something bad about themselves. But that's exactly the point. Here starts the healing. Be aware of that you want to react, and don't react. Don't suppress. habit patterns, don't go in that past. And that, you know, we're speaking it now as it's easygoing flow, but that's the point where you surrender.
Yeah.
That's the point where you surrender your people, you brought yourself within, your circumstances. That's actually also where you maybe change the music you're listening. You maybe change the way you, and so on. I can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Back to your question, David. What was my turning point? I had a little bit luck. First, it was my 40th birthday, so whenever I speak about with my children or others in my foundation, I always can easily remember it was my 40th birthday. And I had two things on the same. I was breakdown completely, and I had such a wonderful feeling the first time in my life that reminded me, Christian, you are more than a soccer player, an entrepreneur, a party animal, an Ibiza who has in a yard all this bullshit. It's not bullshit, because when you're aware, you can have everything, because then it's not owning you.
Yeah, get you. Yeah. You can still be successful. You can still have all the trappings of life as long as you're not attached to it.
Exactly. So I had both that same. I met a person that I felt so beautiful to first time in my life, and on the other hand, as my degree of consciousness wasn't ready yet to have a good relationship, it just runs throughout my fingers. So I experienced both. But the North Stars was that my degree of awareness, of consciousness, was high enough to understand, okay, Christian, you have this wonderful present given from universe, that you meet an angel in your life who warms your heart up. On the other side, you are not ready to receive it because you're still on the ego.
Yeah.
But what if you're going to work on yourself and you love yourself and meet then someone and you're ready to receive love? This feeling must be outstanding. And that was my motivation then, to say, no. It cannot go on any longer. I don't numb myself anymore. I lost the person I love so much. And this feeling was so beautiful. What is waiting behind the door of me when I make myself work and when I love myself, and then be able to really love someone else? So I had both on the same, like the pain and the beauty on the same time, and that made me so curious about to really dive deep and want to understand all this information, what is God given from consciousness, from energy, right? Once you dive deep in consciousness, you also touch energy, you get aware of places where you're all of a sudden saying, wow, somehow, back then I already felt like this place, but in the past I've been there because I wasn't aware. And now all of a sudden you don't go to these places anymore. So many people, there's another nice quote yesterday, I heard it, or the day before. I don't know from who it is, but it was so cool. The way people treating you is a reflection of how they're gonna see you, and how you let people treat you is a reflection of how you're gonna see yourself. And that's exactly what's happening. I don't know from who is the quote. We have to make a research. But that's exactly what I'm saying. You get so aware of everything. You would not even meet persons anymore. They, as an example, they are negative, or they're speaking negative. Because obviously, why would you let all this energy going towards you, as a little example? Yeah, but it is like it is, as you said before, Matthew. Once you get aware, you really think about before you speak. You really think about where I'm going. You really think about who I'm gonna share my time, because I know everything is energy. So why should I listen to a song with negative lyrics just because I like the rhythm? Subconsciously, I gonna suck the lyrics, right? That's an example.
Yeah.
I can speak.
No, I get you.
All that things, right? Literally.
It's a very, very interesting. You were saying before. I just lost my train of thought. But you got a question, David?
I was going to ask you quickly, just back to a couple of minutes ago, in terms of doing the work. You mentioned shadow work.
Yeah.
What is? I've heard of shadow work before. I don't know what it is. Can you go into that just quickly? Because I keep seeing it pop up all the time. I'm like, do I need to be looking into that?
Yeah, I mean, Actually, we all have triggers, right? We go throughout the day, and then we get triggered of something, a person, a song. We get reminded of the past, and we got, in the first place, we want to react emotionally, negatively, or maybe also too hyped and in a positive way. And those are the moments where I would say that's shadow work. Just step back, look at the situation, and ask yourself why that is triggering me. And now comes the most important part: don't react. Don't suppress the old.
That's what I was.
That's exactly where, I mean, you can understand. Okay, if I don't know, if I see that person, I get pretty emotional because of my ex-wife, my ex-man, my whatever it is. You can be aware and then just keep spinning in the reel, or you be aware and really make a conscious decision of no reaction.
Yeah.
Just get in the position of observe it, observe your emotions and the situation. And that's a big win. And that's actually, I mean, that's where you stop suppressing your old habit patterns where you're collecting when you have been a child or later on in your 20s, in your, however, right? But that's exactly the shadow work, because this is so, why would you change your habit patterns and your personality? You are used to, that could be addictive. You're just used to reacting, you're saying, oh no, she's bad, him is bad, why is such an asshole, you know? And then you're already in the spin of the ego.
Yeah.
That's the shadow work, not like, oh, my bad.
And it is hard to break those habits, but you can definitely break them. But there are times when you do slip back to it because you do get triggered, and then that's the time when you have to forgive yourself. And you know, we all stuff up, and I always say, like, as soon as you realize you've made a mistake, and you know immediately when you've made a mistake, you know immediately when you've done something wrong, you know, it's intrinsically, it just bang, as soon as you do it, you know. And what I teach my kids is, like, as soon as you feel that, just apologize. And forgive yourself. And don't beat yourself up about it. And there's a win there because you become aware of your behavior, right? You've reacted unconsciously, which is okay. Like, it might piss you off and your ego says, oh, you're unconscious again or whatever, you know, but you're aware of it. And it's staying present, I think, and being aware of how you're behaving and what I always say to David and say to people, anyone that listens, is when I'm in a situation, I always try to step outside of myself and see how I'm behaving. And would I be proud of that person? Would I go, oh, you know what, that's somebody that I want to associate with? You know, like, whether you're in a high pressure situation, how am I behaving? And to be able to, like, actually step outside your body and look at the conversation or the situation, and would you be proud of how you're acting, how you're behaving, how you're coming across? Is that somebody I want to associate with? And I think when you do that and you reflect on stuff like that, that's when you really get growth as well. No, it's so, bro. No, you're only, how old are you?
I'm 40, but there's another nice thing once you really make your shadow work, your homework, your spiritual diving. You build up trust.
Yeah.
Lots of trust. And now what happens with trust, this is a very nice thing, because once you build up really trust to everything, like starting with yourself, why would you be worried about any situation, what is happening to you? Why would you be worried if someone is attacking you? You wouldn't just be worried, because you know even this situation is for my higher good. So why would you be worried? Even that, go a step back more and say, okay, even that has happened somehow for a reason to make me better in a way. So you're literally, building up the trust, and the gratefulness is coming also a lot with work.
I think to be like, I think to be conscious or whatever, but I think the basis of it is you have to be completely honest. Do you know? And we as a society, it's really hard to be honest. You know, there's times when, you know, like, you don't want to say something, you don't want to do something, but I think from the core, you have to be an honest person. There can be no bullshit, no lies, no manipulation, none of that stuff. You have to be pure at the core, I reckon. And I think it comes back to honesty. And I think when you're honest, it's really hard to be honest. I haven't met many people that are, like, truly honest, but I'd like to think that I call a spade, and that I'm living my best life, even though I don't feel like what's the word? I don't feel like I'm achieving the things that I should be achieving. I don't chase the material stuff anymore. I chase more geez, I'm glad I'm here. I'm grateful. I notice nature so much more. I appreciate going for a walk. I appreciate cooking my children's dinner. I appreciate listening to my children play. All the things that used to get on my nerves, like, fuck, I'm not cooking dinner. I don't want to do that. Those are the things now that I'm like, you really take pride and are thankful for, and they're so basic. And like, I've gone from wanting to party my ass off, chase girls, do drugs, all that shit, to like, not that there's anything wrong with that either, if that's your trip, but I've gone from one side of the equation to the other, and so have you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have too. Like, we've both lived, like David as well, but like in terms of sport, you've played at the highest level, so have I. You've won at the highest level, so have I. You've partied at the highest level, so have I. But would I take any of that back for where I am now? Absolutely not. But you can't get to where you are and where I feel like I am without doing the work, and nobody else can do it for you.
Yes, that's so true.
No one, right? It's like
you wish.
You wish.
Yeah, you wish.
Yeah.
At the end, that's exactly the voice what always is coming in the head when you're then alone. Deeply inside, you're saying, damn, okay, I make another year in Ibiza. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you sit there in September, October, looking back and saying, I had that already. I remember. That was like, it's nothing that, so you have to make no one else can do it for you. And, that's what you're saying, being honest, you getting authentic.
Yeah.
And really dive in the spiritual path. You can't just play any role anymore, because know the moment that you lie to yourself. Why would you lie to yourself in that moment? So you would not just like say, hey, fuck it, it is how it is. But rather I say nothing, that I play a role and there's so many examples, name dropping, little lies to be, and the funny part is, there's more aware you get, and you get in conversation with people. You think like sometimes, damn, yeah, of course, yeah. And yourself doing this still, it's time, it's working, no one is perfect. That's also another one. People speaking a lot about duality.
Yeah.
The ego.
Explain duality.
Yeah, the duality is so bad and this and that. I'm not sure. I mean, I would say duality is a very beautiful thing, but also always when our so-called ego is in the back row, right? The duality is beautiful. We experience beautiful things in our body because of the duality. Right?
Yeah. What do you mean by duality? I'm sorry, that went over my head.
People saying ego is separation, ego is comparing, ego is there's black and white, and all have to be like in synchronization. But the duality, for example, if you be aware of it, duality can be amazing, right?
Okay.
If you love someone, love is for example, if people saying to me a duality and you're in the ego, that is no. Duality is beautiful. What is love? At the end, love for me is duality. There's someone who loves and someone who get loved. That's a duality. And how beautiful is that? Yeah. It's always just a matter of perception where you're standing in your life. If you're even everything is duality, because you compare yourself every corner. But when you're living from your heart, duality is beautiful. Let's be honest. Be in love with someone, beautiful. Like if you can't experience it, if we would, let's just fly in higher dimensions and everything is super hyped 24/7, it might get a bit boring over the time.
Hey Christian, tell me about you and David's introduction. He spoke about your sister and cystic fibrosis. I've had a little bit of experience with cystic fibrosis because my youngest daughter is diagnosed with it, but fortunately for us, and I didn't know that I had the gene, and neither did my wife at the time. But what happened was that she has the common gene, and if I had the common gene as well, which is common to cystic fibrosis, then my daughter would have had full-blown cystic fibrosis. But I have a gene that's really, really super rare. So the disease apparently follows the common gene, right? Follows the uncommon gene. So the disease is following the uncommon gene, which is my gene. So my daughter's, she's, hardly affected at all. Like, she'll lead a normal life. But when you first hear the word, trust me, when you first hear the word, you've got a baby girl and she's 2 weeks old, and you get a phone call from the doctors and they say, we think your daughter's got cystic fibrosis. She's like, fuck, what the fuck's that? And then when you start to, research it, it's pretty horrific, right? So can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that, if you don't mind?
Well, that's yes, I can do that. Actually, that's what we're speaking now at the last topic. That's the duality. That's a very perfect example. Imagine you grow and you've got such a talent as a soccer player and the potential of playing at the biggest club in Europe. And on the other side, you're sitting on the breakfast table with your sister, watching in her eyes and knowing that she hasn't at all such a potential of a so-called beautiful life. That's a very hard, powerful example for duality. Not a nice one, somehow. Of course, it took me to understand, Jesus, what is the reason that you give me this beautiful, this not beautiful, but this healthy body, beautiful healthy body, and this talent of where millions of young boys want to reach. And on the other side, you put my sister in such a position. So that is, of course, if you get aware, you ask, what is the message behind, right? Because you literally cannot understand it. Yeah, that's a good example for the duality in life, right? We have to live with it, and it took me long, really long, to understand what is my lesson, what is my why I got in such a position of duality in that screw way. But yeah, one part of healing and one part of getting conscious is also letting go and surrender. And maybe one of the biggest parts of healing. And once I understood that happened for a reason, God knows better, then you're able to surrender and let go. And once also you understand that everything is energy and we are all connected, you can see the people who left the physical body in everything else here, in nature, in other people, in circumstances you get in. It's a kind of appreciation and gratefulness, rather than being sad that someone left. You build up a gratitude of the moment, and that the energy is still here.
There was something that I wanted to touch on, because Matthew mentioned parenting earlier, and with regards to what you were saying with the work, you've got to do the work yourself. We all have to do the work ourselves. But is there a way that you can shortcut it, or help other people shortcut it, I should say, in terms of how you're passing it on to the next generation? Like, how different would be the way you parent now to the way you would have parented when you're in the midst of this whole identity that sought external validation?
Well, yeah, but when you, like Matthew, you're meditating, right? Yeah. I think once you make your healing, and once you living a way based on stillness and awareness, you wouldn't tell your children in a way of, like, you're gonna raise them with the same degree of awareness what you are going through moment by moment, right?
100%.
You would let them make a mistake in a way, but at the end, when you break it down, what is the core message to your children? Be a kind person. Be honest. Be authentic. Don't like, now I'm speaking with my daughter. She's 14. She's saying, Daddy, my classmates speaking about what they're doing next year and 2 years, and their parents and study. And I said, Julie, first of all, be here. Listen,
Yeah.
don't look left and right. At the end, your intuition will gonna guide you. So the principles of spirituality, which is stillness, which is no reaction, which is kindness, honest, authenticity, all these words I would just give them, and you not need to have give them, you just live it. You are how you are, and that's enough, right? But you know, I don't want to put me in the corner and say I don't make mistakes. I'm a human being, you know, right there.
Yeah.
I get triggered as well, but at the end, that's it. You
Yeah,
tell
that's
them not to think, you tell them
yeah.
feel.
Feel
You
exactly.
right, feel. You don't think, feel. Don't control. Get in trust. And you know, once you live as a parent in trust and in love and in feeling and in intuition, rather than
Fear.
thinking and fear, exactly,
Mm.
the children will adopt it.
Yeah.
So do you think you can set them up to go through life and bypass the need for like a rock bottom or an internal breakdown?
Can you tell it again?
Do you think you can bring them up in a way that will allow them to go through life without having to go through an internal breakdown or conflict or a rock bottom?
Well, at the
No.
end, no, at the end, and that's also with spirituality. You can collect all the experience, all the informations from the field, right? Once you have the frequency up on love, on empathy and compassion, you have a high frequency, right? You would download all the information, but the point is, you need to experience it.
So we
As
have to
long as you
suffer.
don't, yeah, kind of. I mean, and that's. I mean, obviously, if you see your child running towards a fire, you would not let her suffer and run into fire. You would shout. You would maybe saying words that are not aligned with you, with your spiritual way of living. But you do it with a good intention behind.
Yeah.
So on some point they have to suffer in a way and to make their own experience, but all based on the main layers of empathy, being kind, being honest, being authentic. And that's the difference, right? Because our children's and as a collective we are getting really cool. I like the way where we are going as a collective. It's beautiful, and it will take a bit, yeah, that's true, but sooner or later our children or the next generations, whenever it is, they will make decisions based on their heart, and that's the game changer,
Yeah.
if you could ask me.
Yeah,
Right?
I reckon you did right there, Christian. It's funny, like the vibration, the vibration's definitely rising, right? It's like you can see people starting to awaken. You can see people starting, like people are, you know, like it's so. I always say to David or anybody, like you walk down the street, you go to a shop, you see people engage with people with their eyes, a smile, a say good day, a hello. You know, just these are the sorts of things that you start with, right? And you get those little shots of dopamine, you know, when you see, because we've forgotten how to connect with people, right? But we used to, because we all used to live in villages. Now we're all living in separate houses and all that sort of stuff. Like, whereas in Europe, to a certain degree, we live in apartments and stuff. So there's that collective stuff. But I think we're going from living together and raising our children in a village to living separately to now sort of coming back together and having a different mentality and a different way of thinking. And it will take time. But I think I think you said about 5 or 6 words: authenticity, trust, honesty, compassion, kindness. They're the way. If you can preach that to your children and live that way, and if we all started doing that and all started treating people the way we wanted to be treated, which is, you know, everybody says that, but if we start doing that, I think the vibration will rise really quickly, and then we'll get out of the mess that the world's in.
We've talked about living with presence and reflection, Christian, but also living with purpose is important. So what is your purpose? And I'm sure there are many, but what are your key purposes in life these days?
Yeah, to inspire people to heal themselves and to get us the chance as a collective to rise our dimension of consciousness. That's all what matters in my eyes. And as we spoke before, when you make your healing, you're able to inspire others. That's only what matters. I'm here to serve, and I want to give all my experience I collected over 40 years in my life with all the ups and all the downs in order to inspire others. There's nothing else to say and to do. And all the rest, the purpose, the good thing is on the spiritual path, once you get in silence and you really give your soul the space space to speak and you are able to listen. Then your purpose, you not even need to manifest anymore. What would you manifest? Your purpose, you just feel it. And that's it. And that was my journey. I was like, inspire others to heal themselves. That's it. Nothing else.
Mate, it's so cool. Hey, Christian, thank you so much for spending the best part of an hour with us. And it's been, everything you've said has resonated deeply with me because it's on the same path that I'm on. But you've said it so eloquently. You've lived a life. You've lived the ups. You've lived the downs. And it seems like you're definitely on, well, I believe, the right path. And just a big congratulations and thanks so much for spending, an hour with us. We really enjoyed your time.
Yeah, I know people are going to get so much out of this, your message and your story and your ability to share that with them the way that you are. So thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure, really. Absolutely amazing. Super energy.
Cool, mate.
Amazing.
We will.
Enjoy it.
Have a wonderful day.
You too, bro.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Bye.
Bye.